Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Real projects for real homeowners with real solutions. Information and inspiration on improving your home from professional remodeler Danny Lipford.
Well, welcome to the show. Now we're just in time to see our concrete finishers pouring the concrete slab that'll serve as a foundation for the new addition we're building on this home. Now the addition will include a bedroom, bathroom, and closet area, a very common addition that's being built these days. Now this week we'll follow this project from start to finish and include a conversation with the homeowners to see exactly what they're trying to achieve with building the addition on the home. Also, we'll check in with our electrician on what's involved in adding on to the home and some of the things you need to consider electrically. And our drywall finisher will give us some great tips on how to properly finish drywall. And along the way, we'll share with you some other tips that you really need to know if you're about to build onto your home. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the show. As you can see, our concrete men are busy finishing up our slab so that we can start framing on this job tomorrow. Now, the homeowners are out on the job, and they're Edmund and Daphne Zogby. Now, you just bought the house. Why are you adding on already, Edmund?
Well, Danny, this home only has 3 bedrooms and an office, and we need a 4th bedroom. We need a guest bedroom, and that's what you're doing for us.
Okay. Well, now, I know that you're actually live in this neighborhood.
We do.
In a smaller house. What about overbuilding? I'm sure as a realtor you're asked all the time by your clients about their concerns with overbuilding. What about this situation?
Well, overbuilding is a fact that should be considered, but our level of expenditure here is going to be far less than the average in this neighborhood.
Okay.
So we're really not concerned about overbuilding.
Good, good. Well, it is a real strong neighborhood, and one of the things I like about the location of the house, it being at the end of a cul-de-sac like this, really kind of nice. I know you have a few children.
My wife said she'd like to have a nice yard for our children, and that was really the motivating factor behind us buying this home.
Oh, I can see it's real comfortable with a backyard and a nice tree and everything. It really is a nice family feel to the home.
Yes, we love it.
Now, of course, access into an addition is always a concern, and you had a good suggestion on this addition to actually create a hallway through an existing bedroom. That's a fairly good sized bedroom, but you still will have enough space in that bedroom for use. Maybe what, nursery or office or?
Well, originally it will start out as a nursery for our little 6-month child.
I see.
But eventually it'll be her bedroom.
Okay.
And the bedroom's big enough to compromise 3 feet for the hallway, which will be leading into this guest bedroom here.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Now, Daphne, what about some other things here? There's probably a little bit of updating going on inside.
There is. I'm going to be painting and wallpaper, bordering, putting in new countertops, coriander granite, and we're going to extend the hardwood floors to the other bedrooms and just a little bit of everything.
Right. Well, it's a lot easier here to do all of this without you living here, both for me as well as you.
Right.
Yes.
You know, new construction creates a lot of dust and construction dust, and we wanted to get this behind us before we moved in, and it'd be easier for you and us.
Absolutely, you're exactly right.
We're very pleased with the way everything is turning out.
Good, good. Well, I'm anxious to show our viewers the access into this, so you guys keep an eye on the concrete, and I'll show you how they're going to get into the new addition. Now, the homeowners mentioned they wanted to do a little updating on the inside of the house, but one thing they're not going to have to worry with are many of the ceiling areas. The previous owners have done a great job installing skylights, also creating some nice little plant alcoves up high. Perfect place for some plants, but there's several areas that will really need some updating. Now, the original hallway in the home is 37 inches wide, and that's the same amount of space we'll be taking out of this bedroom to supply the access to the new addition. Now, even though we're taking out 37 inches, we still have a 14 by 13 room left, plenty of room for the nursery the Zogbys have in mind. Now, you can see the concrete truck's already gone. You can see exactly where our slab corners off here. What we'll be doing is removing this window and reframing out to this corner and the actual outside of the slab there will line right up with the new hallway. And we have the 37 inches we mentioned here, and then a doorway will be installed here for privacy in the bedroom. Now, you know, something that we see all the time when we're doing a renovation are cracks like this, and many times this can really be alarming to a homeowner, but most cracks like this are simply expansion and contraction cracks. To know if you've got a bad one or not, just take a straight edge like this and hold it over the crack, looking from side to side to make sure that it's level across there. If you have one side that's a little lower than the other, you may have a settling crack, something an engineer may need to take a look at. Here, it's not a problem at all. All they'll need to do is to put a floor patch compound over the crack before they install their new hardwood floor. Now, speaking of hardwood floor, that's exactly what they have in the hallway, and they plan on just bringing this down and extending it right on into the bedroom area as well as the hallway. Now, originally, the doorway to this bedroom was back here. In order to provide the space for the new hallway, we moved it over. The new wall will come right across here, and this will all look original to the addition into the house. Now, that's very important when you're considering an addition to your home. Make sure that access looks like it's always been in the home. Stay with us. Now, over the last week or so, the guys have done a great job in getting started on framing this addition. Now, the framing started the day after the foundation was poured. The exterior walls were nailed together on the ground and tilted up into place. Now, this makes the job a lot easier and quicker, but the layout man's measurements have to be dead on. When all the walls were in place, we installed a vapor barrier around the sole plate and put the sheathing in place. Now, the corners get half-inch plywood to add to the structure's rigidity, and the rest gets gypsum board to match the existing structure. With the walls up, our guys could begin working on the custom ceiling for the bedroom. Now, the square in the middle will form a recessed tray ceiling. The short joist going around the box will support the 8-foot ceiling around the perimeter of this room. Now, this is the inside of the new bedroom, and with all of the framing complete on the ceiling, it really gives you an idea of what it all will look like once it's all complete. Now, the ceiling was completely framed before the roof was framed so that the guys would have plenty of room to work around it. Now, one of the things that's always a good idea when you're building a new living space on your home is to try to pick some type of architectural design that exists in the home and bring it out to the new area. This is exactly what we've done with the ceiling design, because you may remember earlier in the show, we looked at a few of the ceilings inside the home. The new roof was framed over the area, and the roofers came in right behind the carpenters to make sure the existing area stayed dry. The pitch of the existing roof was continued up another 8 to 10 feet to a new ridge, then back down at the same angle to cover the addition. Now, this is where it really starts getting hectic out on the job, where all the space is all blacked in, and now the mechanical systems can start being installed. The plumber's been real busy connecting all of the water lines for the new bathroom, and the electricians are busy now running all of the wires to supply the power to the new addition. The extra power requirements for an addition are often overlooked by the homeowners, and that can really be a costly mistake. To give you an idea of what's involved in making that determination, let's talk with Mike Kane, our electrician. Well, Mike, you guys out in the addition are moving right along.
Yeah, we're coming along good.
Really doesn't take long once you get the boxes in place and all the layout complete, a few wires here and there. But the real problem, or at least the real challenge, is to determine if there's enough power in the house to take care of the new addition. How does that process start?
Well, that's what we're doing here. We're checking to see if there is available breaker spaces. And in this panel, there is available breaker spaces, so we're not going to have a problem on this house.
Okay, if there was not sufficient room there, you're talking about a service upgrade. Now, tell our viewers really what that means.
That means changing out the breaker box and the meter can and all on the outside of the house, which can be pretty involved. We'll have to get the power company involved. The local inspector will be involved. The power will be disconnected for most of the day.
I know we've been through that and even have to bring out the generator sometimes to keep the jobs going.
That's right.
Okay, now what about cost? I know run into a little bit of money on that, but the good part of it is it's a one-time deal. You never have to, if you do it right, you never have to upgrade a service again. But what kind of cost?
It fluctuates depending on different things, but you're looking somewhere between $1,000 and $1,600.
Okay, and that's say an example of a 150 amp service going up to a 200 amp service, I guess, is a fairly typical kind of situation.
Usually that's, even today, you're looking at 200 to 325 amps.
Okay, yeah, more and more power being used. And I guess the thing that really drives that is if you have some of the 240 volt circuits like air conditioning or heating. Here we're pretty lucky because all we have is outlets and lighting.
That's right. The 240 volt stuff is really where the load comes in, the problem comes in. And that's when you're adding your air conditioners or your dryers or anything that's 240 volts. That's when you really need to look at the outside breaker box and see if you do have enough power coming into the home.
Okay, I guess the biggest challenge here then for somebody, not you or I, but to route the wires from here, actually several wires, back over across the attic into the new addition.
Well, I was hoping you were going to get up there and feed them down to me, Danny.
Well, I could, but I gotta run somewhere. So thanks a lot, Mike. Some great information. Well, our bedroom-bathroom addition is really starting to take shape, and this is where the homeowners really start getting excited because they get an idea of what the space will be like once it's complete. Mike's electricians finished roughing in the wiring for the addition and pulled the wire through the attic back to the sub-panel. With that complete, we could close up the walls. In this case, that meant lots and lots of drywall. Now, this little addition in the new hallway we created in the existing house took about 45 sheets of drywall and a crew of 6 guys 3 hours to install. Drywall is great because it's easy to cut and it nails or screws to the studs or ceiling joists quickly, but it is heavy, about 100 pounds per sheet, so hanging it is a very physical job. Now with 45 4 by 12 foot sheets of drywall, you're talking about 2,100 square feet of surface area, both walls and ceiling. It has to really look good. The man responsible for that is our drywall contractor, Mark Rutherford. Now Mark, first of all, on the hanging, what's important to know about hanging drywall properly?
Well, you want to make sure that when you hang your ceilings first, and then your walls. But the most important thing is when you have that sheetrock up there, you have to make sure it's tight. Now we tack it off with nails and then we come back with screws and screw it off.
Okay, and you're in the process of putting your first coat of mud on here, 6-inch knife, joint compound. What are some of the things to know about this?
Well, on taping, you want to make sure your mud is thin. I think the biggest mistake most people make is they see the ready whip on the side of the bucket and they think they can just go in and start taping. It needs to be thinner. It needs to be about the consistency of like a milkshake.
Now I know that you've seen homeowners out there trying their best to finish drywall. What are some of the real common mistakes other than not mixing the joint compound up properly?
Well, they don't put enough mud down and they leave air bubbles. You want to make sure that the mud covers the whole joint, the crack completely. Then you come back and you tape. You want to make sure there's no wrinkles in the tape after you've wiped it.
Okay, all right. Then you're using bigger knives as you go along on the other coats. And normally what, after this process, 2 more coats after that?
Yeah, exactly. We come back with the next coat's called the bed coat, and then the following coat is called the skin coat.
Okay, all right. Standard 8-foot ceiling walls right in here, but ceiling here is going to be a little more of a challenge. What are some of the things you have to do to approach a sloped and angled ceiling like this one?
Well, you always start off by taping your flat joints first, and then we come back with our angle tape. And now on these 45 angles, we use fiberglass mesh tape.
Okay.
And it seems to work the best, doesn't crack as much. And then we come back with at least 3 coats of hot mud, which is a mud that sets up like plaster Paris.
Yeah, that saves you a little bit of time when you're able to use that. So.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Well, Mark, you've got plenty to do. I'll let you get back to that.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Well, our drywall finisher has completed all of his work, and the homeowners, Edmund and Daphne, have really been busy with their paintbrush and completed all of the painting. Now this weekend, they plan on tackling the hardwood floor that'll extend down the hallway, into the bedroom, and right on into the closets. Outside, the addition certainly doesn't look like an addition because we used many of the old bricks that were originally on the outside of the wall and reused them on the addition. Inside, the bathroom's completely finished and really turned out nice. Plenty of closet space, and we're very close to having the homeowners move into this area. Now, the homeowners did a lot of work themselves, really put in a lot of sweat equity that'll really pay some big dividends when they sell this home. If you're considering doing some remodeling, you may consider doing some of the work yourself. Now, what better way to really have that feeling of ownership and to make a house your home? I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and home repair expert Joe Trewini show you this week's simple solution.
Well, washing windows certainly isn't my favorite thing to do around the house, but it's made a lot easier and you can do a lot better job by using a squeegee. But Joe, I'm gonna let you get your ladder out, take care of that second-story windows.
Well, thanks, Danny. It's always nice to be included in your projects. But I'm going to clean those second-story windows without a ladder, because today's simple solution shows a way to extend the squeegee using a simple piece of PVC pipe. And all I did is I bought a length of 3/4-inch PVC pipe. It's about 10 feet long. And I drilled a hole through the pipe and clear through the squeegee. If you just line up those marks for me, Dan.
Okay.
Then simply get a machine bolt and slide it right through. Put a nut on the other side just to hold the screw in place, keep it from sliding out. And now when you dip it in your bucket, you can easily reach up to the second-story window safely from the ground, and you can see that you can use both the sponge part to clean off the dirt, and then you just flip it around to squeegee off the excess.
And Joe, I guess you could have used a regular telescoping pole like the painters use, but I would guess it's probably going to be a little more expensive than this.
Well, the telescoping pole we saw at the hardware store cost about almost $30. It was $28. And this piece of PVC pipe cost $2. And plus, we already had the squeegee, which was only about $3.
Looks like it works just as good.
Works great.
Now let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out the best new products.
Homeowners have known for years what an advantage it is to have under-cabinet lights in a lot of areas of your home. This display shows you some of those areas, such as the kitchen, craft room, workshop, study, laundry room, and particularly the home office can benefit from having the light under the cabinet shining right down on the work that you're doing. Now, most of these lights are very similar. They're usually about 1.25 inches thick, and that allows you or the electrician to tuck that light right under the cabinet, shining lights right down on your countertop. Now, the problem with a lot of fluorescents, though, is they'll have a little buzz or a little flicker when you're turning them on. Well, GE's addressed that problem with this light in that it has an electronic ballast that eliminates that problem. Also, one of the features that they've added to this particular light that I like a lot is the swivel ability of the bulb itself. You can swivel that out to direct that light further out on the countertop if you need to. Now, this is a very do-it-yourselfer type fixture. You can install it with the little brackets there. Then it has a 5-foot cord that comes with it, and this plugs right into the end of the light fixture, and you have the little toggle switch here on the front. Now also, if your electrician is on the job, you may want him just to go ahead and wire it in series and hook it to the switch that you already have on the wall.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Barbara Katz.
Well, Barbara, I see homeowners using the raised beds in their yard all the time now. I mean, what's the advantage of that?
The biggest advantage, Danny, is that a lot of us have yards with soil that is so bad, it's just so poor that it's almost too heartbreaking to try and work it. But if you go to this method, the raised bed, you can bring in beautiful soil, build it up, and just go off and plant anything you want to plant.
Now, can you just come in and form up an area like we have here and just set it right on top of any ground, or is there any prep work before you go to this point?
I think it's better if you can actually take a pickaxe or something and just scrape through your existing ground, just so that eventually those two different types of soil are going to blend together. But if you can't be bothered, it's probably fine. Just layer it over the top.
Okay, what about the height? Now, this one only has just a couple timbers, say 8 or 9 inches tall. Is there a ideal height for a raised bed?
Well, it depends on the type of plants you're going to grow. I would say you need a minimum of 6 inches. But if you can go with more, to 12, then you're going to be able to grow a wider variety of plants. And if you take it to 18 inches, then you can sit on the edge and just relax while you do your gardening.
So not so much stooping over as
Exactly.
pulling weeds and working the garden. So you're really developing quite an environment for the plants.
You are. I mean, it's such a great solution for when you've got a garden and your soil is just so rotten that you've given up any hope of being able to cultivate things. You do a raised bed and you can have beautiful plants.